No.
Yeah, that's all.
No, that was just paper.
Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, so we make a start. Can I welcome you all to the April meeting of Brent Knoll Parish Council. If we get started on item 1, it is apologies for absence.
Just an apology from Charlie, who's working tonight. She's not able to make it.
Maybe that's heard from either of the 2 members.
Jonathan, I haven't heard from. No.
Okay.
No.
Tracy?
Tracy, I haven't heard from either. No.
All those in favour that we then accept Charlie's apologies? That's okay. Carried. Any declarations of interest? I can do my normal council one, and also as a shareholder of the shop.
Shareholder shop.
Shop.
Competition.
Yeah. Any other declarations beyond those? Okay. We next have the approval of the minutes from both the 4th and the 18th of March. We start with the 4th. Are there any amendments to those? In which case, you have to sign them through an accurate record. That's seconded, yes. All those in favour? That's clearly carried. And the same for the 18th. Any amendments?
Not happy to afford them.
Okay. Seconded.
Yeah.
All those in favour, let's sign those. Thank you. Which takes us on to our public session. And David, I think you wanted to address the council.
Yeah, you have to wait for a moment, Rob.
Okay.
Standing up is and sitting down is a challenge at the moment. At your March meeting, you asked that we come along tonight and talk to you a little more about, and it has to be said, Aid's idea, which we totally adopted, approved and loved, for improving, enhancing the frontage outside the shop. So there are 3, and possibly if Lucy can make it, but she's not well, 4 of us here from the management committee. So can I start by struggling around the table?
Don't really pass them
Just pass it on.
Yeah, I'll take them.
Oh, that's very kind. Let me just hold that 2 or 3 for the eyes on this side. Thanks, Andrew.
Oh, you want to first take an extra? If you're on the minute.
No way.
Cheers.
That's the same.
Thank you, Auntie.
Don't think you need one. He's
No, he's proposing.
Now, I suppose I ought to say, if you're up to it and it's light, if you want to sort of all come outside and have a look, hopefully you would see what we mean. That the frontage as it currently is not picturesque. It's not great. And in truth and in fairness, it's unlikely to get much better. That the 2 grass patches struggle, frankly. So the plan in front of you, it does actually lack something, which is also part of Aid's proposal, which is along the roadside some wooden planters, rather like you have at the 2 entrances, 3 indeed, to the village, but thinner, elongated planters that provide a bit of a roadside floral verge. So what you're looking at...
Sorry to present, David.
Yeah, of course.
Where are the planters designated on here?
They aren't. That's the whole point I'm making, Colin.
Okay.
They're beside the road.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Can you tell me how high they're proposed to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
About 12 inches max.
No, that's lovely. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Sorry, David.
Now, what we're suggesting is if you take the kind of triangle of grass on the left-hand side first. That is, if you've noticed, that is the worst. And in fairness, I think it's going to be a challenge for it ever to be much better than it frankly is right now. And we, because of what we're trying to achieve and do, we don't need to do anything on that patch, but we just think that that patch is never going to look better than it currently does, which is not great. So paving that would actually improve it and remove any maintenance requirements on you at all. The flagpole is in its new position, is now shown on that triangle. So that's been allowed for. We're proposing merely to, on the other side, the bigger triangle, if you will, pave the area sort of in front of the existing bench, using exactly the same paving as is currently there for the two existing benches. Now, since we did this plan, you've made a change in that what we assumed you would like us to keep as a section of grass, bottom right-hand side of the right-hand triangle, yeah, where the Christmas tree base, i.e. the stub of the old apple tree, is. We thought you'd like that kept as grass. But you've now put, or you've moved the rubbish bin to that side, to that corner, bottom right corner of there. So it seems, and we haven't costed for this, and this is our problem, we could, just continue the paving on that patch of grass, conscious of the fact that the more you leave little tiddly bits of grass, the more of a problem that is to Jason when it comes to grass cutting. The two picnic benches that we're proposing are not just basic wooden rot-prone picnic benches. They are high quality, long life.
Similar to the ones in the main park.
I look to aid for confirmation. Yes,
Yeah.
nodding. Yes,
Yeah.
right.
So recycled.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I think the only other thing that I wanted to sort of draw attention to is that our objective, yes, is to improve the visual appearance, from the road of the frontage to the shop, but to use that as an opportunity to improve that frontage as a community amenity. And the provision of those two picnic benches to go with the two existing benches will make us, not during the winter, I accept, but during the better weather months, will make a significant difference to all the people who, do like to congregate. And year round it's the mums at school collecting time. On other occasions, like, the other day at the Sausage Sizzler on a Saturday morning, the two benches were fully occupied with a lot of people standing around as well. So having two picnic benches, just adds to that facility. And I'll be honest, at the same time, it is the closest, in truth, we'll ever get to being, as a community shop, able to provide any form of cafe service. And it would only be obviously in, the better months of the year. So that's the basic plan. We believe that it would look better, it would provide a better facility for the community, and would actually reduce, your maintenance challenges and costs. And in answer to the question, well, who pays for it? We do. As part of, we're a community benefit society, we are obliged to use any surplus funds for community benefit. This most certainly would be of community benefit, in addition to being of benefit to the shop itself. The figure of about £5,000 is what we're currently estimating to include VAT. And we have that sum, and we've agreed as a management committee that we are happy to fund that sum. So that, in a nutshell, gentlemen and ladies, is our proposition to you.
Any questions? Colin?
David, I think that's great. Can you tell me, please, how wide is where the planters are, how wide is it?
How much grass left?
How much grass is actually left between the planters and where your first bench is?
Okay, the simple clue, Colin, is, whoops, excuse me. Ow, shouldn't have done that.
It's all right.
No, sorry.
No, I've done it now. The simple clue, this is the existing bench,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
On the existing,
Footprint, yeah.
the existing
Plinth.
plan.
So you've
Yes.
got that 6 foot.
So it's,
Four,
oh, you put it upside down. Yeah, no, so I'm sorry, let's go round here. I didn't realise you put the bloody thing upside down.
Well, there's the shop.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
all right. So that's the existing bench over here on its slabs.
Yeah.
So it's from the road to those slabs.
Okay. Which is
About the
metre?
bench is going to be,
I
it's
can
more
go
than the
out
bench
with
is
about
about
6
6 feet.
About
6
Go out
foot.
and taste it
Looks
for
about
you.
6
yeah,
feet. It's about 6 feet. 7 feet, yeah.
Okay. The other thing, you've got a Christmas tree
Oh, that's the base.
socket
Yes,
and
that is the
an existing.
apple tree.
What's the little square electrical supply?
Mhm.
Is that a box that stands in the ground?
Yes.
It's a
Yes,
double
it's up
socket
there.
on the stand.
For the electrics.
It's already there for the tree.
Okay, so that's just a double socket that stands on a plinth. Okay, why do you want to grass that then?
No, well, what they're saying is they're
No,
going
I'm
to
saying
leave
It's
it.
already there.
What they're going to say
It
is
is
they'll,
grass.
No, why do you want to grass it? Why?
We don't. It is grassed. We're saying to you that we are happy to continue the paving there if you're happy with that. We thought you'd like to keep grass there, but if not, no, it's not a problem to us.
but it would be a very small piece of grass.
Yes,
Yeah.
hardly worth maintaining.
I agree.
May as well pave it and just have one piece of grass
Yeah.
across the front.
And that might give more space for the bench as well.
Yes,
Just
correct.
trying to squeeze
Again,
the
just
bench.
remember that at the moment we're only doing the questions to the speakers. At the moment. We have got it on the agenda
No,
for discussion.
No, I understand.
but
It's just that it may give clarity
To the
when we
conversation.
discuss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got that's your new dump hole where you've dug your hole there.
Well, I haven't agreed yet, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Okay, any other questions that anyone's got? Amanda?
I just wanted to ask, what would be the material that these slabs would be made from? So what would be the sort of aesthetic?
Sorry, forgive me.
The slabs that you're proposing to put down, what would they be made of, or what would they
They are
look like?
precisely the same as the ones you've
So
already
like
done.
a grey concrete.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point is to continue what you've already done.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, do I want to take 5 minutes suspension of the meeting to go? and
Yeah,
have a
well,
look
I
outside?
think
while
that's a
it's
good
light,
idea,
I
yeah.
think that's a good idea.
All right,
Because
we're
we're
going
going
to
to talk
suspend
about
for 5 minutes and then we're back in.
Yeah.
Then I'll start the hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Malcolm?
Yes,
And then
the flower troughs, they will be adjacent to the road.
You can either have them adjacent to the road, Malcolm, or you can have them adjacent to the edge of the paving.
If they're adjacent to the road, would they create a traffic hazard by traffic passing?
No.
And won't they get into a state with the passing traffic anyway?
Because we will be responsible for maintaining them.
Okay.
And then we will be set back 2 foot away from the road because obviously the law.
Right.
Colin?
Last question. David, this could involve some form of legal costs. Are you happy to...
Legal costs?
Yes.
Why would
So I
that be the
understand.
case?
I understand.
Well, of course, I think this is for discussion later. Actually.
Yeah.
It's a matter of-
But it's a
But
cost
it is,
matter.
there is an indication.
It's a cost
Certainly
matter.
a cost.
Yeah.
Would you
Potentially.
like to explain that to us?
Well, it's just because the lease itself would come up for extending.
No.
Yes, that to be
Let me explain why I'm saying no. This has nothing to do with the lease. This is a donation by Brent Knoll Community Shop to the Parish Council, the owners of that land, to undertake this improvement. So it has nothing, we're not looking to take over ownership or of the land, nor indeed to have that piece of plot of land included within our lease. That is not what we're talking about. We are talking about a donation to the village.
So effectively, it's going to enhance the appearance.
Yes,
That's
that's the aim.
And it still remains village property.
Absolutely.
I'm glad I answered it. Asked that question. Thank you.
Okay. No further questions? In which case, thank you very much, Dave.
If I just sit down,
That's Dave.
So-
That's
Until
Dave.
you're asked again.
this may take a while.
Okay. Right, members, if we move on then to item 5 on the agenda, which is planning matters. Colin, you happy to introduce this or Dave?
Okay, can you, which is okay. For those, this is Woodbine Farm, which is the house next door to Pete Osborne's. In the garden, there is a tiny cottage or annex attached to it. And if you can show us there, that's outlined in red. It's a tiny little, if you like, 1-bedroom cottage which butts up to the wall of Pete Osborne's property. And what they're seeking to do is to reposition the front door to the, where it says proposed extension. The front door will be actually in the side of that extension, facing, if you like, the garden of Woodbine Farm. So if we can look at the elevations, can we look at, we looked at, no, that's it. Actually, if you put that one up again, shower room and kitchen will be the extent of the extension, and where it says up to the garden will be the new front door. That's what I reckon from the plans that have been given. And if you look at existing, was it existing? Okay, that's the existing end elevation. And if you scroll up, that's the new north elevation proposed with the single-storey extension. Where it says where you've got the vertical lines coming down is this new sloping roof, and the extension is the horizontal line as well. And they're putting, obviously, as you can see, windows in top and bottom. From my own point of view, and I can't persuade you, from my own point of view, I can't persuade you at all, but this seems an extension that is in keeping with the existing and will enhance it, and I don't see any potential interference with the neighbouring property, or as the property is so far set back, I don't think it's, in fact I think it may well enhance the view of the property. But that is essentially what this planning is all about, so I'll leave it
Comments or questions to you, the other members?
There doesn't seem to be any objections from any of the authorities about the property either.
I suggest we pass with no observations.
Okay, that's seconded. So all those in favour of making no observations, please show. So I'll abstain in case it comes to. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Owen,
Nothing on the class report, which is not covered elsewhere, actually.
so any update from the surgery?
Not really. I mean, there's some ongoing matters. I mean, Wood Lane was one area that came up for discussion. Some concerns, continuing concerns over the use of a barn there, particularly, which is obviously they were granted planning permission for this actually about a year ago, was it? And there is increasing concerns it's being used for sort of other activity, commercial activity. And I think, Bob, I think you decided you would take up the enforcement again on that matter.
Just to pass on them.
Yeah. But that was really the main issue came out of it. That I think concerns the council. I think there were a couple of other smaller issues, but I think they really relevant to the council. We had quite a lot of discussion on speeding and the AMPR and the SID, which is an ongoing conversation we have at surgery. The Speed Watch group in Burton Row is still the only one that exists in the village. And it's vulnerable. If for any reason the Speed Watch group gave up in Burton Row, it would be a problem for the AMPR because we wouldn't be able to have the AMPR without Speed Watch group. So it's something ongoing really. But there were no other major issues.
I think there was a little bit of disappointment expressed that in the last couple of issues of the Brent Knoll News, there's been an appeal for people to get in touch with them if they're interested in getting something started, and they've had no response to it whatsoever.
Yeah. It's a matter that affects a lot of villages actually, where they're looking to have Speed Watch groups and not people coming forward to operate it. That's a problem. But, yeah.
Okay. Working group reports. Then we have footpaths team. Any updates in terms of footpaths?
You have a project tracker which I sent out earlier on, which just outlines the current issues. But there might be some things to add to that.
Colin, sorry.
Okay. The last meeting before the last one, I did suggest we looked at possibly putting name tags, for want of a better phrase, on our stiles. And you asked me, I said I'd look at it. So can I just pass these around, because this is just an example. Sorry. What we've got, as you know, we've got loads of stiles all over the village with various markings, and it was considered that, well, I suggested it would be nice to have them all labelled and numbered so that if there was any problem with a particular style or needing maintenance or repair or whatever, then its position could be clearly indicated. Arian Signs have offered a 76mm diameter aluminium composite circular sign. They drafted this without me talking to them, really, but obviously the yellow arrow cannot exist because it's not a waymark sign. This is merely marking or telling us exactly what number a particular style is. And obviously the email below, which is mine, I would suggest it's Clark@Brent Knoll Parish Council.gov.uk at the right time. But each one would have its own particular mark on it, and then I would attach this, or I'm happy to attach them to a post or actually on the stile in all over the area. I asked Arian Signs for a quote. I asked for 50 in the first indication, and it's come back at £204, including VAT. So it's roughly 170 quid. Each sign costs about, say, £3. I would have them drilled so that I can screw them firmly to any wooden posts that are there. But it would mean that all our signs have a proper indication of their number and where they're located, and I think it would help us to maintain the stars. But I'll be guided by you. If you want me to firm it up or carry on with it, I'm happy to do that. If you don't think it's a good idea, you let me know.
How much would each sign cost?
£3.
About £3.
About £3.
About £3.
Andy?
You obviously got to decide on the colour of that yet, Colin.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about, we've got these maps.
They could be blue.
Or we change the maps to match the colours, so
No,
it's just easier
Blue
to,
would be a good idea.
so it's
Blue
just
circle.
easier, and then we can put the numbers back on.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
And the price that they would do is for each individual one to have a different
A number.
number.
Yeah, its own number. Yeah.
Be interesting if we printed the one number though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, its own destination number. So I'd have to. I'm not sure whether there are, and David, you'll help me here. I'm not sure whether there are other styles that are not necessarily shown within the map that we've got here, particularly out in the fields.
If I might comment, in terms of where that was drawn from, that's the online map, which each individual bridge, stile and gate all have individual, I think they're 5-digit numbers. So you can get that from the online thing as to which one is which.
Yeah, I think what Colin's asking is there more on the outer of this map?
Oh yeah.
And we've not got
Yeah.
So that's the whole map. All we've got is you've got the main
centre
central
bit.
bit.
Yeah. So I mean, I've counted probably about 20 in here. So I allowed for 50 in all. It might well be that I don't need 50, but
I think you've been here 100.
Yeah,
Do you think so?
there are a lot
Yeah.
more 50 various obstacles
Well,
for people to
if I
get
could-
around.
if I could have the map,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I'll
we can give you the link to that. So.
count them all
Again, do you want that one printed, the bigger map as well? So members have got it.
I mean, we did at one time. Every member had
File somewhere.
an A4 version of that. We can, if I give you that hard copy, can you maybe
Yeah.
do some of them and then also blow up a couple of the bigger size? But yeah, that seems sensible. How do members feel in terms of get those ordered? In terms of we need to work out, it's going to be a bit of a. I mean, if Colin's up for it, it is a bit of a job getting on the online thing and working way around everyone to get the individual numbers because they're not necessarily consecutive numbers.
yeah, they're all over the place.
Yes.
So I think it would be a matter of doing one bit at a time,
Yeah.
rather than try and hit it all in one go. You do one area, do that, and then move on to the next area, and they would have to do the numbers. But I just thought it was, I'll leave it.
It's a very, very good idea. I propose that Colin, carry on with it and go ahead, to do what he's doing. And to do a section like 21st, if they agree with it, and don't put prices up, do 21st, go ahead and do that, then another 20, and so on like that. I think it's a good idea. Because you see them a lot of places in Berkshire, that's what they done was them. So they knew straight away if they had fault with them, that they phoned them out, told them what number it was, straight away. So yeah, I propose that Colin goes ahead and does 20, or...
Any other comments from members?
Well, how about if you say, I'll concentrate on this map first, do that, but I'll firm up with them that they will do more as and when I ask them. But and are you happy that we have a blue circle rather than a yellow one to take it away from footpath signs?
That's a good idea.
What colour rating?
Black.
On blue.
No, it's.
No.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, you mean in the middle?
Yes. Yeah. What do you suggest,
Yeah.
David?
Is there any
It's got to be a
coordination
pale
for
colour.
bridle ways as opposed to footpaths?
That's quite a light, that's quite a dark blue, isn't it? It's not, this is quite a light
like a
blue.
cyan, sort of light blue.
A light
Yeah, if it
blue.
was a light blue dot with a white background and the black writing like this, that would be fine, wouldn't it? And then because we were saying about putting way markers around in some places as well, so that would be different. So they'd see the blue dot would be the identifying that.
The start.
Yeah.
Okay, is everyone happy with that? We go ahead on that basis.
Pale blue.
Pale blue, circular, and that initially start off at 20. And you're happy that that price was that for a block of 50, or they will do them in smaller and bigger units?
I will confirm that before I do anything
Okay.
and come back to you. Yeah.
Right. Is everyone happy? Ask Colin to go ahead on that basis. All those in favour, please show. That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Colin.
Thank you.
Anything else on footpaths? Obviously, members have been updated that from the last meeting, we've issued the instructions to both contractors to do the works on the various bridges and stuff, so that should all be working its way through the system.
Probably the end of April, I thought. Well, Ian Durston's part of it, I think is probably mid-April, I think he was talking about.
Okay. Right. If there's nothing else on footpaths, highways, any updates?
The only thing is, the ongoing work at the junction of Brent Street and Station Road, is there any sign of a conclusion to that?
None whatsoever. It's still, they have told me that it was moved from this financial year, well, what was last financial year into this financial year, but they cannot give us a date as yet. It is still planned for this, it's now this year, but yes, and as yet it's not appearing. I get normally about a 3-month heads up about stuff that's happening, and it's not on that. So at present, it's unlikely to be imminent. But on occasion, if they get another job somewhere else which is relatively similar, they might get a group out here to do it. So as yet, it's not got a date. So, okay. Council contract works.
Well, that was added, I think, I just had a chat with Amanda, and we were just thinking about the contracts that we had for the council, 3 or 4 different contracts, and maybe there should be a review as and when those contracts are going through the year to make sure that they are hopefully achieving what they set out to achieve. I mean, basically we've got the SID movement, we've got the Incleans contract, we've got GB Sports, which comes under the green, I guess, anyway, and we've got Jason Mayer, and those 4 contracts sometimes don't really come up for discussion unless there's an issue that's raised outside of this meeting. So we just thought it might be a good idea to pop them on there and and maybe nothing at all, maybe nothing needs to be discussed.
So basically, that's the opportunity to hang it on.
So
if
hang
there's
it
an
on there as
issue
a
that's-
review of contract. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got any issues on those at the moment? Village Green was me, so this month generally was okay. We've had a couple of cuts of grass now, and it had got rather long, but it's now more under control. Again, we're all aware that the safer surfaces under the climbing frame is really badly deteriorating now, and it seems to have shrunk, so that some of the concrete bits are now exposed on the edge. But we've obviously issued the contract for that, and that's due to be happening shortly, I believe. But we will need, obviously, to have a working party to clear the old rubber matting away before the new rubber matting comes in. So that will be fun. So we will, once we know a potential date of the actual works, we will put out a plea to members to have a working group, because it is quite a job having done it with the roundabout last time. Going forward, though, also the swings and particularly down at the swings, but the seesaw area are also starting to crack up a bit. They're nowhere near as bad as the climbing frame, but before too long that's going to have to be on our agenda to deal with those as well. I don't know if anyone else has been picking up litter, but when I've been up there, it's been the best I've ever seen it.
Occasionally.
So others may be intervening before I got up there, but normally I've got a bag of rubbish to pick up, and it was only on odd bits and pieces, but it seemed to be pretty well done. There is a broken fence rail near the zip wire which we need to deal with. Whether we could do that when we have our working party, maybe it's only a single thing that needs doing, but it is, if someone falls into it, it wouldn't be good. We have reported, it was brought up before, the bridge on the climbing frame. There's a couple of those wooden slats that need replacement, so I'm getting a quote at the moment for that. And obviously Abacus and the mugger is damaged, but we have placed the order for that, so that's working its way through. Generally the toilets, every time I inspected, were in really good condition. They were tidy and all working. Litter, there was a small amount in the car park. The edges need tidying up and the ivy needs cutting back, but I hope that's a working group as well. That's going to be happening for too long. The new bin, obviously, as was mentioned earlier, is now in place, and I did take out a whole load of out-of-date stuff out of the telephone box. But other than that, it was generally in pretty good nick.
Could I just mention where the goalpost and the net, there is an indentation in the surface, it's slipped, which could cause an accident.
Yeah, okay. We have mentioned that to the GB Sports and asked them to keep an eye. It's not an inconsiderable job to try and sort out.
I know, I should imagine it isn't, but
yeah.
You can, yeah.
I was just going to say, when you said about the perimeters of the car park and whatever, I think we said a couple of meetings ago I was going to try and arrange a working party to deal with that, but everyone's been so busy. And then I thought, well, because we were going to do one to pick up the surface, or maybe do it all together. That's just why I haven't done it anyway. So.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
James in situ for April. Yes. Agree.
Yes. Yes.
Could you send Jane
Do you want shall we send you a template? And maybe a template to James. Okay.
Audit and staffing group, I think you
circulated today. We have a mini audit group with Tracy, Andy, Colin, Bob, and myself. It's a statutory requirement for the council to have an internal audit themselves before we go to the main audit, which is now. And so I've sent out some notes from that meeting. And in fact, Andy was very thorough at this time, because in fact what we did, we tested 25 transactions through the year against the voucher system. And spotting the errors. Okay.
Okay. Excellent. 80 Flood Action Group.
Yeah, I went down to Sevington the other Monday night to a flood warden presentation thing down there, seminar. Very informative. For the area that we are, the flooding that we get isn't severe enough to, do a full-on flood, groups as such. But we're doing. I said to them, we're going to do a flood watch group. So in other words, people's gardens, stuff like that. He said, no, it's brilliant. They did give me a few pointers, which I've got all up, which I've got to meet Amanda to get this thing ready for the meeting. The
PowerPoint.
I said PowerPoint, good little word out. And I've done 3/4 of it. I've added some more to it again last night. They gave me a new shirt as a starter. And they did advise that if you are doing anything or walking around the village or anything like that to do with the parish council, you must use fizzy jackets. Like me and David was doing a job doing that flagpole, we still need fizzy jackets even for that, because you're part of the council, because people don't know who you are. Flood group at the moment, we're going to do a PowerPoint, and I think Belle or Paul from the water flood water group might even come out and do like 10-15 minute talk as well. So I'm just trying to find out from them if they're willing to come in to talk about, you know, what they can do. And we talked about adopting a drain as well, again. So I'll be talking to Amanda about that, because that's Amanda's job. So, but yeah, it was all informative. It was very hard listening to it and taking it in, but it was very informative and that lot. But for an area like this that doesn't get like 3-4 foot flooding, you know, it wasn't much to listen to compared to what other people suffer. But what we're doing and what we're going to be doing, they said is the best way and the best thing we can do. So I get emails off of Owen for the people that obviously contacted us, and then we get emails out to them, and then at the AGM we're sort out there, and then it'll be officially up and running then from the AGM.
Okay.
That's it.
Anybody got any questions? Work on them for the annual parish meeting. So we need to get people to work on their questions for you for the annual parish meeting.
Amanda?
No, Jesus. Okay. IT working group.
Well,
I think you'll be
the
able
other
to-
two here, Jonathan and Charlie, we're covering the website later on in the agenda actually. We are getting to the stage now where we are going to press a button at some point in the next few weeks on the new website. It's been a bit of a struggle, I have to say, just trying to get it right as much as we can, because it is a new format to what we've been used to, and because I'm not a website expert, I've had to rely on Aubergine to advise us. But we're going to show you a website later on from another council up near London, which have got quite a good way of displaying a diary for the village. They can't use the diary we've currently got in its current format. It can't be done. So they've given me a couple of examples of where we can do it differently. Okay, so I'll show you that later.
Okay. Any policy updates?
No policy updates. No.
Excellent. So that's Somerset Council. So you've all had the council tax bills through, so you know what those are. We've ended up. We have been given the exceptional financial support from government again this year, which means to say we can continue to sell off assets and use that to fill the revenue cap. That's going to be about 30 million this year, 25 to fill the gap and 5 for further costs of transformation. We've also been notified now that the Somerset Rivers Authority have put out their details of their enhanced programme of works for 26-27. Part of that was £425,000 of being given in grants on the Hills to Levels programme, which is the one that we got 4,000, roughly, I think it was, which will be on our agenda for payments later. So that's where they're helping communities do things in their own areas to minimise flooding issues. They've also put just over £750,000 in again this year for further dredging of the Parrot to try and keep that clear. So they're using quite a lot of their money to help support other people's efforts. The social housing, Sedgemoor, you may remember, used to have homes in Sedgemoor. It's now been amalgamated across the whole of Somerset. There was a discussion as to how they would continue to manage, because Taunton Dean used to manage their homes in-house, whereas Sedgemoor has set up its arm's length management organisation to run homes in Sedgemoor. They got consultants in to have a look at both models to see how they worked, had various consultations with the tenants, and the council have adopted the old Sedgemoor system. So in effect, Homes in Sedgemoor has now become Homes in Somerset, and is going to absorb the staff from the Taunton office and operate under that model, which generally, from the analysis that was done, operates more cheaply, has a higher level of support from the tenants, and generates more funds that can go back into creating more public houses public housing is slightly different. Probably a bit more popular than public houses, but yeah, so they're going to be hopefully doing further build of new council houses, and because it's now homes in Somerset, they will be looking to try and do some of those properties, not just in the old Sedgemoor and Taunton area, but also in the old Yeovil, South Somerset and Mendip patch. I did send to Owen, I don't know whether you forwarded it on to members, there's a helpline that's been given to us by Citizens Advice Bureau for anyone who's on oil-fired heating, where they can get information as to where they can get support in terms of the problems with funding the extra costs of that at the moment. And the final thing I was going to mention was just a confirmation that we have now got final sign-off on the new boundaries for Somerset in terms of the next election in 2027, which is, they've confirmed the 96 seats, 90 of those will be single member wards, 3 will be double member wards. This patch, which Brent Knoll's in, will remain a single member ward and will be the same seat that I currently represent, without Compton Bishop to the north, Barrow Green off towards Burnham, and of Burnham without, the only bit that stays with us is Edithmead, so out including the Arport area, but the area near the Tin Church, that stays with us, but Watchfield goes off to Mark, and we'll see how that changes things in the future. But are there any other questions relating to Colin?
Yeah, have you got an update on the roundabout at Edithmead?
No. What we have heard is they were planning originally June was the target date. They now think September is the target date. So that might help in the sense that it will be slightly beyond the
To
work
start.
of the whole. Yes.
To start.
And from then it's probably 9 months potentially. And then it'll be a rolling programme up the A38 as well to the next bits. But Edithmead will be the first and the chunkiest bit of it. Any other questions? Okay. Financial report.
A couple of items, well, 2 or 3 items actually. First of all, the statutory payments agreement that we made last month, March meeting. That kicks off in April. That's our statutory payments that we don't change from one month to another. They're pretty static. And if they do change, then of course we'll bring those changes to the parish council.
So you need resolution to payment.
Resolution to pay the statutory for
So I'm most happy that they pay the standard. Okay, that's clearly narrowed.
There's just 2 variable payments. One is the quarterly office expenses allowances for the period January to March, which is down a little bit on last year because I never quite know why these things drop, but printing changes and mileage and so forth. But that comes at 382.84, and then there's a Hills to Levels invoice, and perhaps Bob, you want to just explain what we're doing on that?
So the Hills to Levels invoice is the one relating to the works that are being carried out on the Knoll at the moment with the various leaky dams that have been created and the clearance of the side of the footpath heading up the Linens field with the leaky dams that have gone in there as well. You'll remember at the last meeting we agreed that we were going to ask him to do some further clearance further up, so that's included within this sum. The figure is actually slightly less than we were thinking it would be, because when he originally quoted for doing the works, he included putting in a whole series of stakes to hold the leaky dams together, and in negotiation with the Somerset Rivers Authority, they didn't want him to do that. They wanted him to use the natural materials that were coming out of the woodlands, so he's done that. So it saved us about £900 off the quote that was originally given. All of this, all of the original quote was going to be paid for by a grant from the Somerset Rivers Authority. What we have to do is we have to pay the invoice and then they will refund us. But obviously they will only refund us the work that was agreed. So the bit that we asked further up, which I think was about £500-600, yeah, we will have to pay that ourselves. But in effect, all we're doing is we have to pay it up front and then they'll pay us back a grant to cover all the Hills to Levels funding that we received. But that's why the invoice is here before us.
Yeah, so
Has that additional work been done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything, David?
No, because we've got it later on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
so that invoice can be paid
So is there a proposal we pay the invoice? Thank you, Amanda. Secondly, all those in favour? That's everybody. Thank you.
Other financial matters, payment list for March, I've circulated earlier on. That's a list of payments that we actually made from the Unity Trust Bank during March. Malcolm, just for your information, one of the new requirements under the audit is that we publish to the council each month payments that have been made on the previous month. So that's just a transaction list, basically. I sent to you earlier on also the provisional financial statement. Bearing in mind that our accounting period didn't end until midnight last night, I've managed to get the accounting statements actually out today to coincide with this meeting before it goes to internal audit. And just for your interest, that book there is what I call the red book, has got everything in there to do with the audit. So if any member of the public at any time wanted to see what happened in 25-26, that would be the book I'd be showing them, because it's got everything in there, so bank statements, reconciliations, cash books, everything, the actual audit from the returns. So the financial statements are now correct. I've signed my copy of them to say that I'm happy that they are now true and accurate record of our accounting procedures for last year. And on that, you will see on that our reserves, our total cash reserves, came out at 46,502 for the year, of which ring-fenced to 24,123. They're ring-fenced reserves that we were aware of going forward. So our operational reserves, 22,379. Okay, so that all balances with the bank statements, that balances with Scribe, and now can go forward to the internal auditor. Which then brings me on to the third part of it, which is the AGAR submissions. As you probably know, each year the council has to sign off something called the AGAR, which is a document the external auditor requires. And on that, the internal auditor first of all has to look at those documents and make sure he's happy with the procedures and processes. His job is not to check the numbers, it's just to check that we've gone through the right processes to get where we've got to. So what I'm proposing to do this year, because this is a slight change, because normally the council sign first and then I send it on to the internal auditor. They want it done the other way around now. So they want the internal auditor to sign off his bit, particularly as this year's AGAR is a bit more complicated with other things appearing in it. It should go to the internal auditor first, and then should be signed off by the council second. So what I'm proposing is when we have the annual parish meeting in 2 weeks' time, hopefully the internal auditor will have seen them, signed them off, literally 2 minutes before the APM for you to agree and minute the sign-off. Are you all happy with that? The one figure I'm missing off the AGAR, unfortunately, which you couldn't do anything about, is the total borrowings for the year, for the loan. Because the Public Works Loans Board don't publish it until the 7th of March. They're not expecting councils, April, they're not expecting clerks to have the figures ready to go to external audit before 7th of April. And they are. So I'm just waiting for that figure. Apart from that.
So can I just say that if we're going to just do a sign-off at that meeting, do we need to go through, because obviously there's a whole series of questions that we...
Yeah, I sent it out today. I don't know whether anybody had time or chance to look at it. So if you look at the list of things that they asked the council to be sure of, if you like, let me just go through them. So for example, on there's 10 actually in total. We've put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year. We've done that because we did the internal audit. We've maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud. We've two things we've done in that regard. One is we've had an internal control document signed off, and secondly, a risk management document which signs that covers that area. We've assured ourselves that there are no matters of actual and potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could affect the significant financial effect in the ability of this authority to conduct its business. You would be aware of that, I'm sure, by now, if there were such an issue. You would be aware of that from the various documents that you see throughout the year. And I'm happy between now and April 15th, if you want to go through this document, if there's any questions you want to ask, then you can do so before that, sign off. We provided proper opportunity during the year for exercise of electors' rights. That went on the notice board last June. That was completed and signed off. We carried out an assessment of risks facing the authority. That was done through the risk management document that I produce every year. We maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit, which we've done. We took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from internal and external audit. Now, there were no issues last year, apart from one, which was the large increase in our expenditure and income due to the shop build. So clearly last year they wanted all sorts of chapter and verse as to why our expenditure shot up to something like 300,000 last year. And I had to write a report to them to give them the reasons. Of course, this coming year, I shall have to write a similar report because it would have gone down.
Because it
It's gone down. So that I'm in the process of completing. We consider any litigation liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring during or other the year end that have a financial impact on the authority. Where appropriate, have included them in the accounting statements. There is nothing. I'm sure you're quite happy to take my word for that, and if there were, I would be raising them with you. We don't have any trust funds. Our Brent Knoll Charities is not a trust fund, it's therefore not included in the audit. And this is the new one, Assertion 10. We put in place arrangements for an effective IT and data management in accordance with proper practices during the year. We've got .gov.uk for the Parish Council, which is basic requirements. We're putting in place the new website, which will have the .gov and the disability access statement attached to it. And we also have data protection policy, privacy policy, internal controls policy, and there's another one. There's four anyway. There's four practices which we agreed last month to support and approve. So all of that takes care of your part of what you're signing off as a council. And so if you have a chance to have a look at it before the parish meeting, if there's anything that you think you're not entirely happy with, just let me know. And I'll probably hopefully give you an answer to it. And at that meeting, I'll get Bob to sign and we'll minute a special meeting, special sign it off. I think it's better done that way because they seem to prefer it that way.
Are there any questions that any members got throwing on any of those issues that we've been through? Okay.
You always are pretty pedantic and they're getting more and more pedantic every year and they want more information. So I suppose, it's right, it's public money we're spending. They want to make sure that we're spending it correctly.
Okay.
I think that was probably it actually. That was it on finance.
Okay, so that takes us on to the master consideration, Hill Lane car park block and current arrangements.
Obviously the previous two locks, something's happened to them and they've been tampered with apparently. The last one is still with the manufacturers who are trying to find out what's the matter with it. Since then I have purchased a thick wire rope after consulting with Bob with a combination on it, but it's much lighter weight, so it will be easier to manage. So that's ready to go back on ASAP.
Yeah. So we thought we'd just make sure we brought it to this meeting before we start locking the gates so that everyone is aware that that's the new setup that we will be with this other version of the chain. What we will be doing now is asking for some further volunteers to help in terms of opening closing. We still have the support of the local residents who said they were prepared to help us as well. But we will be looking for help. So we'll put those messages out just to let you know. But it doesn't.
Still the same combination.
Yes and no. I think there's one more digit, so we'll
it's 6
probably,
now, is it?
yes,
Okay, we can.
yeah.
It will be based on the same number.
Yeah.
It would be, yes, around and about that, yeah.
Just
Yeah, because the
We
other
won't go
thing.
down the entire pipe.
Yeah,
but,
don't tell them.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say, because the other thing about that Bob just said about the having extra volunteers. Last winter, I was really ill, and I was having to get up out of bed and go up there in the morning and unlock the gate, and then go home and get back into bed because there was no one. We didn't have enough people in the pool to do it. So it would be quite good to, if somebody else would like unlock it in the mornings or something.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, so we've had a draft agenda for the annual parish meeting, which I think Owen circulated. So that's basically it's the normal annual report from the parish council, then and the finance report from the clerk. Then we've got presentations planned at the moment for the flood action group, the new council website, so we can illustrate that, and also neighbourhood watch, progress and development. Is there any news on the? You said
Well, I have asked the new vicar whether she would like to present, and I haven't heard a reply back. I do know she's going to East Brent, I believe. Now, I will ask again. If,
Oh,
so,
I was going to say I'll be seeing her on Saturday morning.
could you just remind me? I mean, she's obviously very busy. I mean, I know she's taken over.
She is this week because it's Holy
the
Week.
parish, five parishes, you know. I mean, that's a job.
Yeah.
So.
and
Yeah,
if not, we can
I'll
always
ask
have next year.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going to get pulled in all different directions
Yeah.
at the moment.
I
So,
think so, yeah.
I think
Yeah, I'll ask.
what we need to do next year, practice, ask her around about sort of September, October time, the previous year. So, okay.
any other questions on annual parish? I think Amanda and Jane, you said at the last meeting you were up for
And we'll do the
refreshments.
duties of teacher.
Okay.
Colin's doing the biscuits, that's fine.
Okay. Right, moving on to the item C, which is the website upgrade.
Well,
Owen's demonstration.
basically, this is what we saw last month, and that's basically, and I take on board, I think, Amanda, what you said, a little bit on the clinical side,
Yeah.
as a website, but that's the whole intention of it now. It's meant to be compliant rather than glossy. Now we can add to it as time goes by. We can add bits to it. Once I've been trained on the use of it, which I have not been at the moment. Once I've had the seminar on the 7th, going to a webinar for instructions on how to change things. Hopefully, I'll be able to add things and make it a bit more.
Pastoral.
Well, exactly. You know. So basically, as we saw last time, we've got the gallery, which is certainly superior to the previous one, I think, in terms of its. What we do need to have, though, we do need to have some more profiles, because I've only got a few at the moment. So if you haven't done a profile, I would appreciate if I can add that to it. I know I've got Bob's, I've got Jonathan's. I think I've got Jonathan's.
Do we have to do a new one then?
Well, I would.
Or are you just using the old one?
I would. You can use the old one if you're happy with the old one.
I don't even know what it says.
Right. Okay.
It's still be up on the old website.
Still on the old website.
Oh,
Have a look at the old
yeah.
one. If you're happy with the old one as it exists,
Yeah.
eh?
Amanda's photo looks like it's a youngster.
It's not true.
Oh,
It's not an original.
It is original.
That wasn't the one that was on that long.
No, it wasn't on
No,
that
she
side.
hasn't done
It looked
it.
awful on that one. I wasn't using that.
But why are you allowed to choose?
I just, I
It looks
said,
like wanting underneath.
I said to Owen, I'm not having that bit.
Yeah.
She said,
Amanda forbade me to use the one that was done by our photographer.
it was
I
awful.
mean, we do need to get the other ones done at some point, so they are similar in format.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, mine was awful. Amanda's what, I wouldn't say awful.
You were I see, I was just waiting there.
keep digging, Owen.
Manners was awful.
And Andy, I think we
That's
use,
the one we
that's
have.
not
Existing
that one, is it?
It's a couple of
Existing
years.
one.
20 years ago.
No, it wasn't 20 years ago. It wasn't.
Okay.
It was
So
20 years ago.
So that's basically that. Now there's all sorts of things on here. Stuff that can't carry across from the other. But the one thing that we are at the moment looking to try and do is do a diary, which is what is used on the development site. Now, as I said earlier, we can't use that format. It just doesn't work with this particular type of technology. And so what I've done, I've gone into, this is a parish council at Ware in Hertfordshire. As you can see, it's the same format. And actually, it does look a bit more floral than the album, so that's something we can do with it. But what they've got is a what's on, which is like a diary there. And when you scroll down, you get all events. Somewhere. I think it's go down, I think. All events. I think there's a date on there somewhere. But there it is. So look, that's their April one, you see. And it's got little sort of logos and you look at April and you can see exactly what's on in the village. And if you want to know what's on in May, then you simply go to May there. He says.
He's thinking about it.
Thinking,
Sorry?
He's thinking about it a little.
Oh, right, there you go. So you go into May and it's got the May events and so on through the year.
yeah. They've got quite a lot, haven't
Yeah, it's a town council, remember?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you expect them to have
they?
more
Don't
of
know
than we would. But that's the nearest format that Aubergine could do for us that was as similar and as functional as the one we had originally.
They seem to be saying now that you can't do lists. You have
can't
to
do
these
lists.
tiles.
No, you just want to work on lists.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other examples, but they did say they've looked at others. This is the one that most closely matches what we want to achieve. Because Nailsea Town Council is also using this. I believe Taunton Town Council is also using the same format. But this one, I like this one particularly because it's actually got stuff on it. The others didn't have much on it at all. This one's pretty full. And so I just need to know what your views are, because obviously they want to run live on this, certainly after I've had my training on the 7th of April. They want to go live after that with what we've got on there at the moment.
For the price we're paying for our website, does that include all that? Does it, the diary, and you can put all that to it?
I haven't even asked about the price of this actually. I think there may be an additional cost. I don't know, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure. I'll get it.
Yeah, because some of them, let you include so much.
Yeah.
So
They did agree. They did flag up the diary and we had a meeting.
We need the diary, don't
Yeah.
we? We do need that.
But you can see from the home page that it's kind of it's a little bit more sort of floral and it's things like meetings with council staff, financial transparency, neighbourhood plan, policies and freedom, all that sort of stuff. You can make more of it than what we've got at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a bit of time to get it up and running, working.
Do I take it that Jenny, who deals with events in the hall here, will also be uploading her information onto there?
No.
So where will that be kept?
Well, it'll come to, the information will come to me, and then I'll obviously upload it.
Oh, okay, so Jenny will give it to you,
Exactly.
and say the shop wants to do something,
Exactly.
they will give
Just
it
send
to
it
you.
to me and I'll obviously put it on the
But to be
program.
honest, at the moment we don't do hall stuff on the parish council one because they've got a separate
No, they-
their own diary. What we do is the stuff that goes in the Brent Knoll News diary goes to the existing site, so that's what populates our diary currently.
I was going to say, is everyone going to have enough time, or is that going to be more time?
I'll let you know.
You just say what you.
Because with that and
The other
the
members
as well.
of the working group have said they were.
Yeah, Charlie and Jonathan will also do
Okay,
some.
yeah,
And you know,
like the load.
what we might do is divide it between us in terms of, say, have a rota or something. In fact, 1 month, Charlie does it, 1 month, Jonathan does it. But they will also need to come on the training, of course. And because they all machinery do these training sessions in the working day, that can be sometimes a difficult with Jonathan and Charlie. But I'm sure what I've suggested to all machine is that what we do is they record the webinar, because then Charlie and Jonathan will go into the webinar and see the actual recording, so they'll be able to hopefully pick it up. Because I don't think I should be up to speed on training anybody. I think I'll just about be able to manage it.
They're pretty switched on, aren't they? So they should.
Yeah, they should do.
Yeah.
We see the Brent Knoll news on there for February. I have asked for March one to go on there.
March was there as well, it's the April one, isn't it?
Oh, it's the April one, yes, it's the April one. So, you know, it's on there as it would have normally been. It takes a bit of time to load, doesn't it? But there it is. So, so it's all on there. And of course, over time, that will build up. And Bob's given me the historical archive stuff, which hopefully I'll be able to put on there over time and gradually build up a picture. But I do agree with the point that you made on that, that it's a little bit clinical, but they all have to be now, and they're not meant to be.
I like that other one you just showed. They had a nice bank of flowers there,
exactly.
so you
And we
can
can do that.
liven it up a bit. Yeah.
And if we can use somebody who's got good photography
Some flowers.
Sorry?
Some flowers.
But
That's nice.
assuming, are you happy for us, once we've done the training and so forth, are you happy to sign that off as a website?
Yeah.
Because Decision Power, of course, are wanting to come out of their responsibilities on that. And they want to close their parliament down, although Dave has agreed that he will hold on to all the files from the website. So if we need to go back to the files at any time, we can do.
I think as long as it's ticking all the boxes, as long as it's doing meeting the requirements, then it's.
The other thing is disabled access, because it should have disabled access. Now this does have much more disabled access than the current one, but the documents that we load also must be disabled accessible as well. So it will mean a slightly different set of minutes and agendas. They don't like bold, they don't like underlining, which because I love using bold and underlining, you noticed. So I have to cut some of that out and go for a much flatter, more factual document rather than trying to sort of gloss it up a bit. But anyway.
So we need a proposal with that sort of
Happy with that,
format of the diary, and we
Yeah.
go live as soon as we can, basically.
Yeah.
And that's seconded, need all those in favour?
Okay.
Done. Excellent. Right. Brings us on to proposal from the shop, aid. You might want to take care of it.
Can I have a biscuit?
Keep warm.
No, I'm all right to watch this.
It's very
Right, now, you've seen the plans, you've been had a look at it all around. Are there any comments, questions that others have about that?
I was just going to say, because that's technically parish council land, would we need to get a contractor in, because we'd be responsible for like health and safety and trip slips, stuff like that. So what would happen, I'm just wondering who's going to actually install this area, who's responsible for the piece of work, and because obviously it would have to be a proper contractor with public liability, etc., etc. Because ultimately we'd be liable for the surface once it's down.
There is probably an insurance issue, certainly. I mean, if you think about it, we own currently that's part of our insurance, if you like, coverage. Okay, so therefore, if it was going to be used more for recreation purposes, we'd obviously need to include that in a slightly more full.
I mean, in terms of the actual installation of the, and should we then be contracting someone to do it? Where do we stand with that?
I think we're asking.
Andy?
I think providing whichever contractor's brought in has the relevant documentation, we would be okay, wouldn't we?
I'm guessing,
It couldn't be me that installs it because I don't have Brent Knoll
Exactly,
insurance. And I'm just thinking about the regular use or more frequent use. I don't think it's going to affect our insurance that much because we've not excluded that from use in our current insurance, have we? I mean, we're not banning people from walking over it because that's why it's in a mess.
No.
Yeah,
what-
we're encouraging it, aren't we?
The way the insurance company works is that every year they send me a pro forma in which I have to identify all the various areas that they're insuring.
We've got benches on there, so we're encouraging people to
So
walk
basically,
over
I
it.
need to just identify what's on
Yeah.
that.
But it shouldn't really affect our insurance bill, though, will it?
It wouldn't affect it terrifically, no. I mean, in fact, it may not even affect it at all. But we do need to notify.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so the question then is who would be doing the, riding the installation?
Colin.
Let's have a bit of clarity here. But let's go right back to right at the start. David indicated to us that this whole work would be a donation from the shop for this area of improvement. Okay? So first of all, do we have an issue with that? Is there a problem? The fact that David, although we control this land, for want of a better phrase, are we happy
To have it improved.
to have it improved and at no cost to the parish council?
Yeah, I guess to some extent we also need to check if it is to be changed, whether there are other things that we need to take into account. So for example, I don't know yet because I haven't asked the question, but I know that when we had the shop done, we had to have an awful lot of calculations done on sort of flow rate of water and absorption into the ground, and they were allocated areas that had percolation that happened, and so you have to check your hard surfaces. So we might need to just double check that doesn't affect anything. If we turn it into hard surface as opposed to something that absorbs,
You can put soakaways in there.
which is what's under there at the moment. There is soakaway under there for the shop.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, it's the runoff, I think.
Yeah. So so how can I put it? I am perfectly happy if that is acceptable under your investigations, perfectly happy that the shop donate this for the improvement of the area. I think looking at it, it is a bit scribbly at the moment, and it would provide a communal area where cyclists or people that pass through the village can sit outside on a nice sunny morning or whatever and have their cup of coffee or a sandwich or something like that. I think it's great. I have no problem. The only thing I would say is that if they're going to put any covering over the bench, please could it be not tented, because that would be an eyesore, but an umbrella. I would ask that restriction be placed. I wouldn't like to see
Parasols as opposed to.
like gazebos, a parasol, which would be more in keeping. Other than that, I see no reason for keeping the grass area by the Christmas tree stand and it just makes it we keep just one grass area. I'm perfectly happy with it. I think it's an improvement, and it shows a commitment from the shop as well to the village.
Agree with Colin. I think also it gives the shop more opportunity to make revenue, which we'll all be happier that the shop is successful. We are going to probably have some other views expressed by people in the parish, as we did with the building of the shop in the first place. So the question is, should we publish this ahead so that people can have their voice and we can address those concerns and views before we commission, just so that we don't have any negativity to what we're trying to achieve here.
I mean, I think, like you, I'm probably a little bit cautious on the basis that sometimes things have been put forward that you think are absolutely, no one could possibly have any problem with this,
No.
and then suddenly you find an awful lot of people do. So I think your suggestion would be sensible for the members to decide, but that would also give us a bit of time to go away and ask the questions about things like, does this need any sort of permissions from anyone other than us?
Yeah.
In terms of, I know when Abe mentioned the planters, I think it'd be worth just getting that clearance from highways that 2 foot is enough, does it need to be a metre, all those sort of things that at least we can then put in place and know that if we're going to go with this.
I was also thinking on the planters, if we're getting objections about the view from residents,
Yeah.
would higher planters resolve the issue? So I think there's a number of. I'm with Colin. I think on the face of it, absolutely. I think it's a generous donation to the village, and I think we support it. I think we've just got to tick some boxes so that we don't create issues for the village.
Yeah.
And I think it is the drainage, the insurance, all of those things. But I do think we know there will be people that have a different view to us, and we need to canvass that first and address it before we commence.
Yeah. Can I just ask one question of David or Caroline, just to ask, in terms of the plan we've got, is this...
Are we allowed to speak?
I'm going to ask you to, if you wouldn't mind. In terms of the plan itself, if we were to reproduce this and show it to people, is this a 2-scale plan?
Not totally. I mean, it was done by David Yates, and
Okay.
it's not to scale. It's fairly close, but not precise.
Okay.
While you've allowed me to speak,
Go ahead.
can I just pick up on a point that Amanda raised? Our costings are based on using exactly the contractor that you used
Okay.
for the benches and what's already there. So if there's an issue, one resolution is for you to get Paul Dixon to do the work and send us the invoice.
Okay. No, that's thank you.
Colin.
That's
Can I ask that that we agree the colours of the slabs or whatever with David, with the shop, so we know it would be nice to see what we're going to get.
I think the proposal was
The same slabs.
Exactly the same.
Matching what's there on
The existing grey slabs. Okay.
Yes. And they're not commercial paving. They're quite nice slabs.
Any other comments or questions at this stage?
I think in principle, I propose that we go forward with the plan and the donation.
So that's, you were saying to consult with people so that we can at least...
I think it would be wiser for us to consult and head off any issues before we get there.
Yeah, I think you've also got to satisfy yourselves as chairman and clerk of what you feel to be the position of the parish council vis-à-vis the land that you are allowing to be used. I'm quite happy with it, but you obviously may have issues that you need to resolve.
I don't think it's a question of issues, I think it's just a question of just making sure that there is nothing behind things that we haven't thought about of as you said, the nature of ownership of the land.
It remains with the village.
It remains with the village, of course it does. But obviously, David and Caroline, when we're saying, if somebody else is putting effectively product on our land, then how does that kind of stack up?
Yeah. Well, again, if what was said earlier by David, we use and we pay through the contract and we make the decision. We take ownership. So the maintenance we can agree with the shop. But if we make the contract, then it's our land, our decisions. So I think from that bit, I'm comfortable. You've got to be comfortable that legally that we're okay. It's an improvement. It's not worsening it. And the only furniture really that the shop is putting on there are 2 benches. So if the worst came to the worst, it's 2 benches. It's hardly anything, and it's temporary. So I think we just got to take on the other views of the village and address them.
Okay. All right, so then, it's understand then what we're saying is in principle, we want to move ahead and have a look at how this works in terms of we check out whether there are any sort of issues relating to council stuff, so that would be planning, highways, all those sort of people. Because I know with even things like the awning that the shop's trying to do, if it was an awning on the front of a house, no problem, because it's on a commercial building, they've had to go through planning for it. So
Yeah.
sometimes the rules are more than you'd expect. So we can follow those forward. We can check out on what the legal position is in terms of putting stuff on there. If we put it on there, and then we bring that back to a future meeting once we've also had a chance to put this out as a plan, so that the rest of the village are aware of what we're considering.
The only question I would ask, Bob, rather than with the sort of 50-50 split in the village on the shop in the first place, are we going to put this forward as a council suggestion rather than a shop suggestion, or openly as an improvement to the
Wasn't
site?
50-50 split either.
No,
This is just put forward as a proposition that we as the council are looking at.
yeah,
I don't think we
okay,
need to.
so we don't need
If you
to,
think that by labelling it as the shop, it's making it more complicated. This is what's in front of us for us to consider.
okay,
How it's then used is up to us to agree. Colin?
Well, surely the way to overcome this is if it's council land and we own it, we're happy with the proposal, we do the work, the shop pay for it.
That's
Job done. There's no issue. We still control.
That's the way we can certainly do it in the same way that, so in fact they would be giving a grant to the council to carry out work.
yeah, and it's a
still down to
fair
us.
donation.
I'm trying.
But it's
Yeah.
just a question of making sure that we've got people on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone's happy on that basis?
Yeah.
All those in
Yeah.
favour, please show. That's good, Karen. Can we get Amy back in?
We'll just do a comment because we'll see the line now.
You didn't move then, David?
Yes. Yeah. Don't tell him.
Thank you all very much indeed.
Cheers.
Bye. Your turn. Oh,
So E is
It's over, who's chatting?
okay, which is we'll carry on. So Hills to Levels SRA project. David, do you want to give us a bit of an update on where we are with that?
Yeah, well, as you know, we've done the SRA works, or have them done for us now, so we're looking at getting the works that we're going to fund done. But since we first started the project about 3 years ago, due to various people changes, things have changed on the ground as such. And when I met with the contractor the other day, he was very unsure how to proceed in certain ways, because there's been a new fence put up where he was originally going to create scrape the existing watercourse and put little dams in it. So I think if the council are happy, the best thing is that I go and speak to the landowner and see if he will let us take the fence up and then put it back after we've done the work, because we always talked about putting the fence there anyway. He just sort of beat us to it because the sheep kept escaping, and I think he probably gave up on the fact that 3 years in it was going to happen. The other thing which I'm sort of asking the parish council to decide in a way, when I met with the chap up there, we looked at the steep part of the footpath where we've had the clearance work done, and he sort of muted quite a few different ideas since his original looking at it. Now it's been cleared back, and I think he spoke to Bob as well, and I think his view is that if possible we could consider moving the footpath over by a metre maybe towards the ditch that we've had cleared out, because it would save us quite a lot of money in stone and time, labour, whatever, in regrading, trying to get the water to fall off the footpath, where essentially we've now got a riverbed because it's washed out. He'd be trying to make this riverbed back up at quite a lot lot of expense to us with stone, soil, whatever, and quite a challenge. Whereas he thought if we could put the footpath over to the right by, say, a metre, he could quite easily deal with the water issue, and we could have a stone surface up there that would probably never move. But that would mean moving the handrail as well, and I think we got to the point discussing that there that he basically wanted some guidance from the parish council what we wanted, because there's so many different options you could do. Nothing's right or nothing's wrong, but practically and with using taxpayers' money, we need to find our own solution to sort of give him guidance. Is that about what you said to you?
It's quite surprising when you go up there now just how much extra width there is beyond that path. And say the suggestion was there's a high solid area that you could have people walking up, which would actually be better than what they're in at the moment, without rebuilding.
What are you going to do with the existing path? Because that's in a hell of a state, that needs regrading. I mean, there are elevations like that, you know.
I think he'd regrade it at the
He'd
time.
regrade it.
He was basically said because we've got such a depression where the water comes down, you'd be trying to fill that up to get a level, but you'd have to go past the level of the bank on your right to get the water to fall into the ditch as such.
Yeah, so would you put channels across for it to go
No,
into
the whole path would have a camber on it that you
like-
wouldn't really see, but any water falling. And I think his idea was he'd cut a few channels in really extreme circumstances. The water would go down them, but he couldn't really see that it would, because we'd be bringing the footpath up to such a point and cambering it off that any water would be straight into that ditch.
Yeah, I must admit, I walked up there this morning and I did look at that brush where it had been cut back, and I thought, well, that's going to have to be cut back next year and the year after. Whereas if it was cleared out properly and graded with the existing path, it would be a bit like a motorway, but it would be really good, much better.
If it makes sense to move the path and do that and have all the water going that way, what would be the cost then to us?
We have to tell him what we want basically, and he will give us some sort of price then, because we looked at there's so many different options we looked at, and he was a bit like, I need some guidance, because we could spend 30,000 on 10 metres of path if we wanted. We could do the whole job for a lot less from gate to the top. So
Because obviously we don't have any budget left in the footpath.
no,
But the money we've got is
Okay.
a special projects budget, which we
Okay,
do
so
have.
how much?
Well, in case this is watched by people who are giving us quotes, I don't want to give the full budget.
No, no.
But there is, within our budget, there is a leftover from this year, and then there is the budget for
Okay.
next year. So there is a sum of money. If it was £30,000, we've got a problem.
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
Well, the other question is, has he got to do all this work, or can we?
We can
Something
decide exactly what we're
like
doing. So
yeah, we don't have to have anything.
there were three sort of parts to it that we were looking at, which was the regrading of the path behind the church, so putting a surface back on that. That was one of them. There was the recreation of the ditch above that path, which is the bit that's got a slight problem with the fence in the way now. And then there was the third bit, which was the bit coming down the steep field of the Linens land.
Yeah.
So there's three distinct parts to it. How much of that we do is ultimately our decision, because the money that we had in terms of grant from SRA was only on the bits that had been done.
Yeah.
They couldn't get involved with the rest of it because it was footpath stuff, and they weren't going to do
It
that.
strikes me that the most serious part is the bit going down the field, because that's where the water gathers speed, and if we had that covered off into the channel, then that's, I would have said logically, that's the first place to start.
I mean, again, I presume we could also get options as to,
Yeah.
if you do this, it will be this amount of money.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
do that,
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
something else.
I think he just
Yeah.
wants.
That's the part where the farmer's fence keeps getting kicked down and people walk down the grass. So we do have a
Well, no, hold on, we're not on the bit at the top.
No,
of
you're-
the-
no,
this is
you're-
the
you're
bit
on the
that's
low slope.
From the kissing gate up to the kissing gate with the,
Yeah.
with the very heavy concrete base.
Okay.
It seems to me, David, that you've got to do the whole area. You can't
Yeah.
leave the existing path.
No, you
because
wouldn't.
that would just,
It'd all be level, but your actual hard surface footpath would be close to the ditch.
yeah,
But then it depends what the council want to do about the handrail. You either move the handrail over to suit it, or
I don't think you need a handrail there.
So a decent surface, you probably not need
Yeah,
to.
it would.
If
It's
one
much
handrail
easier.
in,
because you can read
Sorry.
this, because it's a bit of a bank there now, you'd grade that off and put that in the existing footpath, because you wouldn't get the water coming down how you do now, because it's shot down
I mean,
at the top.
the other problem, of course, is you can't put stone on there like we had initially, because it'll may well get washed off, and it was like walking on marbles
Yeah.
originally, if you remember.
But I
So,
don't think it will, what he said, it won't move if we camber it, which is
Yeah.
very true, because people do get footpaths all over hills and things. It's just getting it right, but it's how the council want to go about getting it right, that we never have to touch it again.
So are you basically happy if we go back and get a couple of
Yeah.
options as to what the
Ideas.
plans are,
Yeah.
and come with actual
Yeah.
quotes to the next meeting
It sounds logical from an expert, doesn't it?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can you, when you also report back, can you tell us where you envisage the water going at the bottom? Because I can see where you're channeling it through the field. I've never seen it run through the field, but obviously they believe it does. And I can see how you've felled the trees to stop the
Yeah.
flow of water. But where is it going from the bottom kissing gate?
give an outline as to the discussion.
I think, ultimately it's going downhill. The bulk of it will still go down as it does now, because there is no channel. There used to be a channel, it's not there. It was many, many years ago. So I think the idea was that when you get to the metal kissing gate, before you go up the steep slope, there'd be a sort of cutout in the bank and take the channel into the field and into the work that we would do
Which
sort of
field?
behind the church.
Into Richardsfield.
Yeah,
Okay.
Richardsfield. But it would go half one way, half the other. So in extreme flows, it's going to go everywhere.
Dispersed.
Because at the moment it's going down a hill, and this is what the SRA, when we've been up there on numerous occasions with all their different members of staff, we've sort of explained what we're going to do, and they're all in agreement that this is the best way of a bad job, if you like, because there's ultimately nowhere for the water to disappear into. We've just got to make it slow.
Okay, so the members are happy that we go ahead on that
Yeah.
basis? Excellent, thank you, David. Cold calling signage. Do we have any update on the provision? It was last meeting we agreed there was a budget up to 100.
You were gonna.
No, you were on it, you and David.
Okay, so we need to, are we happy then that we'll, David, you're right?
Yeah,
so
well,
go on
okay,
that.
I'm
So,
fine.
okay, if members are happy, we'll go on
Yeah,
that
Yeah, I
basis.
know
So
somebody
we-
said they were gonna.
Yeah.
We'll follow it up with. So we may-
Sorry.
Sorry, I did say that if you asked that, I would look to where I'm coming from, but
Yeah.
you took on.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll follow that up.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. And then we get to flagpole, is that 8?
We dug the hole out, test hole, nice and steady. Nothing in there, went down a 3 foot, and we could go the full width for whatever we want. We've had a look at the other flagpole, and it's badly cracked in some places. Fiberglass is missing off of it. Well, it's not fiberglass as such now. But yeah, the covering, plastic coating, is all cracked, missing off of it. The cleat, if we put a new cleat on it, it'll have to be drilled somewhere else because the holes are too big, which is much good unless you get bigger screws. I've had 2 quotes. I never put them down actually. Sorry. I put 2 quotes in for 2 new flagpoles. For new flagpole, which comes with a complete underground system and for a brake at the bottom so we can lower it down. Obviously it takes wind up to 100 miles an hour, these flagpoles.
With the flag on.
With the flag on, yeah, obviously, yeah, with the flag on. The quotes have been coming in. One was 525, I think it was. Another one was coming up to 600, and that's for is it 9 metre, 10 metre, 9 metre one, I think it was, which is about. That's only about 20 foot, so that's only probably about a 5 metre one, 6 metre one. That one.
So, in principle, are you happy that we look at having to buy a replacement in effect? Because I mean, the one we've got was very generously donated to the by the Breakers. They came from when they were HIS windows.
Basically, if you move that one, it's going to cost us a few £100 in
Yeah.
bolts.
For new brackets and like that old one there, if we was to replace the bottom of it, you're talking just 300-400 quid just that. So.
And it's probably a silly question to ask, but you were saying that this would be a fold down rather than. So if we're putting it where we're talking about putting it, you've got Parish Hall on one side, shop.
No, we worked it. You can fold it down. You can fold it down towards the car park, so you have room.
It's going to land on the new benches with the parasols that are up.
No, it will miss it because
I don't know, we'll put it out into the road.
You put the bracket, so you've got the bracket there, you've got 4 bolts there. You can place the bracket the way you want that post, that flag post to come down. So the flag post will come down and it'll literally go towards a big, on that map, in other words, it'll go towards so it'll come like this. So it'll literally go like that. It'll literally go like that towards the big stone we got in the car park, you go towards that.
Every time you need to change the flag, is that what you do?
No.
How do you put the flag up then?
Normal way.
Normal way.
But we can't because you stand on that stone.
No, the cleat's going to be lowered down. But what I was just about to say as well, there's an internal bracket system on as well, where you can have a winder. Right, so if you on a cleat, on a winder, or you can have an internal socket system where it's a key, unlock it, and then put the winder in it, and then do it that way. And that's £105 more if you had the key lock-in system. And you ain't got to stand on the thing for health and safety reasons. You just unlock it, put the paddle, whatever it is, in there, and then turn it, and it lowers the flag.
So, let me just get that. So we do it in 2 steps. One, in terms of in principle, we're happy to move it to this location and go for a new one. Everyone's happy with that?
Yep.
Okay. And then the second part, I think we're going to need to get some. If you can bring or provide Owen before the next meeting with some quotes, we'll probably try and get a third one if we can with the various options as to the wind-up mechanisms, so that we can actually then make a decision at the next meeting.
And are you proposing to fit this, or would you have to get a
I
contract?
think it's
No, we
going
do it.
to happen again on the insurance.
Oh,
position.
Yeah, because if you fit it and it falls on somebody.
If it's,
I'll speak to the manufacturers and see what they say in that lot. And go from there.
and
Nobody
The
else
guy that's
involved
doing
in
the
that.
paving might be covered to actually,
Yeah.
because he'll be putting in foundations and stuff in
Yeah.
the past, so we might be able to tie it in at the same
I
time.
think
the
you've got a
budget's
contractor
running.
who's involved in doing it, at least their third-party liability
Exactly,
kicks
yeah.
in, whereas any of us potentially. I mean, years ago, it wasn't the same issue, but Malcolm.
Do those charges involve installation?
Well, that's what we just started talking about.
Not so,
No,
not
the
No, that's the actual flag, the pole, the brackets, bolts.
So that would be an additional charge.
So I think again, when we get the quotes, we can get that for supplied, and we get our own installer or what they do to install.
Yeah, it might be that we do it, if we're going to go forward with the proposal for the slabs, it's all done at the same time, because that'll probably save us some money, won't it?
Their recommendation would be get a new pole anyway, because I've told them what that was like.
Yeah.
And they would recommend keep using it, because if that captures on someone, then
One question just to ask in the meantime is, depending on how quickly this happens, if there is need for flying flags at the moment, is what they're using.
You can still use it.
we should still got to put a cleat on it.
That's what I was going to say. I'm not happy about doing that because I can't have that properly.
Yeah, just
If we can just do a temporary thing to make it work in
So it just
short
takes
term
a
whilst
couple-
we get this organised.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you want me to bring it, start,
so if you
Get
can
the
get a
quotes
couple of
and
quotes and Owen Hamilton, so he
Before-
circulated them before our next meeting.
May one,
Correct.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
all the members can have it in front of them at that meeting.
right,
Do we have money, for a flag shop?
I'm sure we can find something for a flag roll if the members can make that decision. Defib, provision in the village, further updates from inquiries.
Yeah, I've not heard anything about that at all. I don't know what anybody, I think Ray, you originally raised it, didn't you?
yeah, Malcolm.
So if Malcolm go first and then 8.
There was an article in BKN about the guides furnishing something. Has that been considered?
Have you spoken to him?
No, but I know all about it, and that, but I was just going to bring that up as well.
Okay.
Do you want to carry on? Yeah, the school out there is on a 4-year contract sort of thing, and it comes in end of June, I think it is.
It's £4,000 odd.
Yeah, but they're asking for every resident to give £2 or £12, whatever it is. But I spoke to a few people and from other parishes, and the parish councils there have actually paid to have them installed because that's what the parish council wages is for the parish of their community. So, I was going to propose that the parish council look at, buying 2 less house, one for either end of the village. But the school are going to, the school's had that for 4 years, and I don't know. I don't think it's cost them a penny until it's actually used. Because some defibrillators, if you use them, you have to pay for them, the actual pads and stuff like that to be replaced.
To be fair to them, they did do fundraising for it
Yeah.
back in the day, so they did pay. an
Yeah,
amount.
they paid so much. Yeah. But in June it's finishing, so they're thinking, if we raise some more money, they can raise enough money to buy one and put it there.
Does East Brent have one?
They've got a couple. Yeah,
Well, that covers that end of the village then, doesn't it?
It's still a mile and a bit away.
You'd be hard pressed to go to East Brent and get back, pick it up and get back if you had a problem.
We had a problem the other week in the shop and we wanted defib, and the only one was the school, and they ran down there and done that. So if that was out of what you call it, and the lady did have a heart attack, there's no way I would have walked back round.
David.
So
Oh, sorry, I thought you indicated you might. That's all right.
yeah,
Bought the lot.
Unaware of the past about defibrillators. In the current, I think what AD saying, have a look at putting one either end of the village, even if the school, which is about mid-village, has one. We've got 3 then. I think, because we'll have one either end of the village, as you're suggesting, the one in the school.
no, the school's going in June. That's what I'm saying. So we have to be
Unless they
replaced.
raise the money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we could be in a very good position with one mid-village, one either end. I don't think the villagers are going to complain about that, are they?
No, the only other thing we'll work out is locations, because obviously you need them.
Yeah, how about that?
The problem is we've got most of our buildings are sort of located, public buildings are more central. So,
It may be interesting to try and keep that one at the school,
Yeah.
because people know it's there now.
Yeah.
and certainly that's their intention, it's not it's just finances.
Could we adopt it?
I think that's a conversation we need to have with the guides.
And then that gives you your one either end. So.
Yeah, because I was going to suggest that we, speak to them about us taking it over, parish council, but Red Cow are willing to put one there. So,
You have one either
and
end.
then you have nothing from the Red Cow all the way to East Brent then, and from the Red Cow all the way to the medical centre. And most heart attacks at the moment are going, a lot of older people, heart attacks happen outside of
The main street.
the main street. And, obviously I've used them and that lot, I've dealt with them, but defibs to them, if I could have one in every house, I would put one in every house because they are amazing things to have. And if you have one in the village or 3 in the village, people are not going to complain about that, because if it's their father or their mother or their son or which they are now, and their daughters are, having heart attacks, they're going to be jumping at that and saying thank you.
So the issue, from what I understand, is location. So if we've got one in the Red Cow, we either adopt or don't adopt the one in the school, and that means one either end of the village. We've got, and I don't know whether the grid agree with this, but are we able to wire them in somewhere in the grid on the power lines, the substations?
They don't use electric.
Don't
A lot of them. No, they're just a little battery pack and that's
So we
it.
don't. All we need is
Also,
it depends which one you get.
because that keeps the temperature so they don't deteriorate. So,
it's a domestic supply.
It
Yeah.
depends.
So all we've got to do is find some locations that have a domestic supply.
Yeah.
I think that's the piece of work we've got to do, isn't it? And then if that's two, one either end, and adoption of this, I can't see people
It takes
being upset.
I think it's about £20 a year for the new ones now for domestic, and that's it. That's what I use is about £20 a year,
It's negligible.
and that's it.
So we just need to find some
So
locations.
we can do a bit of research to find out possible location, but also find out the costs as well, because obviously as things stand at the moment, we haven't budgeted for it, so we just need to work out how it fits. But okay, if we can put out some feelers in terms of potential locations around the village that might be suitable, and get some.
And we need to speak to the school.
Well, through the guides, because it's the guides whose defib it is.
Yeah.
Rich's Cider now have one installed, so make inquiries there and where they got it and
Yes.
price, etc.
Okay, we could do that. Okay. Right. Any other matters of consideration? No, so that takes us on to matters of report. So I'll work around and then we'll come to the annual parish meeting.
Yeah, sorry. Benches outside, they're ready to be painted now because they're nice and dry now. We've had some lovely weather. I should be doing them next week. Do you want me to change the colours of them to a green, or do you want me to just leave them as they are? The one that I put there, do you want that the same colour? And the paused one that I was going to do the same colour as that one. So, did you want to change your colours, or do you want me to leave the colours?
I mean, before I think, and certainly the ones before were what's the one I'm not today? It's varnished, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's wood.
So
Wood
just
colour is what
keep
they've
the
got.
same colours in.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Rails. Obviously, when we was digging the hole, David said there's a rail gone. Can't we have a couple rails spare or anything like that? So we ain't got to go and buy it. We can just, if something does go, we can fit it or anything like that. Would we keep a couple rails, or just go and get one, or
On one fence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's just
Just go and get one,
I
or
think we just go and get as we need them because.
as you need them. Okay, and obviously high-vis, like I was saying, that if we're doing anything around it, like car park and that lot, you can't just use cones, you need high-vis in that lot.
So that almost needs to come out of your flow action.
That's what we were gonna.
Because I think last time we went around this with the flow.
Yeah, but that's for the
They-
flood. This is the parish council, the parish council will do the job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't, if you're wearing a flood protection thing on it,
We've always provided our own, haven't we, if we're doing that kind of stuff.
yeah, but you shouldn't have to, because it's a council, you're doing the council work. You shouldn't have to be supplying your own.
We can probably
Yeah.
get some quotes for, we're talking about just a standard high.
Yeah, just a standard high-vis, not a jacket, because you can wear your normal jacket, yeah.
Okay.
Just a
We've got
bit,
them upstairs in Burnham Market for 20 quid.
Yeah. well, you can get it printed for less than that, yeah.
Let me have a look at some quotes, because we're buying them all the time. So
Okay, that would be helpful.
Good names on them.
Amazon £8.99 with the print as well.
£8.99.
Well, we can put that on the agenda for the next meeting anyway, because we've done it tonight. so-
That's all it got.
Yeah. Andy? Colin? No.
Yes, Bakersfield property sale requirement and obligations.
Right.
Regarding the sale and who moved in, etc., etc.
Oh, in terms of the affordable housing units on base?
Yes.
Okay, we can, yeah. Because I suppose we have a case of people. Okay, when do we put that on the agenda?
Sorry, there was. Somebody's graffitied the bin in the car park at the top.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I flagged. I was going to say it in the
Okay,
that bit, in the car park bit, but I forgot.
okay, no worries. Right, just from me, in terms of just a reminder, you'll see on the agenda we've both got the annual parish meeting on 15th of April, which is obviously any who can attend would be good. And then the next meeting we've got is the annual parish,
We need 6.
so that's for the annual parish council meeting.
That's
For the annual parish meeting.
annual parish meeting.
Well, as long
If
as-
we're going to agree, which we must do,
For our pre-meeting,
for our regular,
yes.
we need at least 6 members there. Otherwise, we're going to have a majority.
There must be 6 people here that's presenting things.
You were there before the parish.
Yes.
Take 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I was only going to say, in terms of the annual parish council meeting, just a reminder to members, that's the one of which we will be appointing chair, vice chair, and all the other committees for next year. So please, to make life easier for my successor, because obviously this is the end of my 3-year term, so if you can make sure you've got your nominations ready, because otherwise it's like going around the table trying to find out who wants to do it at the last minute. So again, if you can just remember, have your nominations ready, so who's doing what on those roles.
That's for our main meeting.
That's the annual parish
Yes.
council meeting.
And that was on
That's the May the 6th.
May 6th. Always be with you.
All right, thank you all very much, and if there's nothing else, we will close the meeting.
Which you